All right, it's 6:36 according to my clock. I'll call the meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded. The meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Enosburg Falls is being conducted electronically in order to ensure the safety of all attendees and to maintain compliance with Governor Scott's executive order. Per H 681 signed into law on March 30th, 2020, Section 6, there's a temporary suspension of designated physical meeting location requirements of Vermont's open meeting law, VSA Section 312. In order to assure that all attendees can hear clearly, your audio may be muted. When you wish to speak, you can raise your hand in the participant list or by submitting a chat request, or if you called in by pressing *9. Once acknowledged by the chair, please clearly state your name and then proceed with your question or comment. Please remember that when unmuted, all participants can hear all sounds in your environment. Again, this meeting is being recorded. All right, let's take a roll call of the board members. Leonard?
Here.
Cindy?
Here.
Heather?
Here.
Jason?
Here.
All right, the full board is in attendance tonight. First thing on the agenda are modifications and changes to the agenda. Does anybody have any modifications or changes? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. Is there anybody here from the public that wishes to speak tonight? I'm seeing a hand raised from Ben.
Yes.
Good evening.
Hello. I just have what the heck? Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I having a little technical glitch here. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I just have a like maybe a 10-minute statement I'd like to read. Is that possible? And then I could answer some questions or whatever you like. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm here to talk about, so let me just do an intro. So I don't know many of you personally, so I just want to let you know who I am and what I'm doing here. So I own 342 Main Street, Enosburg. We've owned it for 15 years. Our retail coffee shop business in Enosburg is in its 14th year. The Flying Disc has been in business for a total of 17 years. That includes 2004 to 2008 on Main Street in St. Albans. Our business and property are in good standing with all regulatory bodies and financial institutions. I've served on the Enosburg Conservation Commission for 6 years. I'm on the Town Forest Committee. I'm the treasurer of the Main Street Cemetery Association. I voluntarily maintain the grounds of the Mason Lodge as well as the Pearly Block. This includes mowing, weed eating, and the removal of large trash items generated by the Pearly Block. So we're in good standing with our neighbors Chaz Mraz and Champlain Chevrolet. The Maddox family, I'm just saying all this so why you should listen to me. So the Maddox family lives above the retail spaces at 342 Main Street. Our children have attended Enosburg Public School since they were in preschool. I walk and bike the village and rail trail on a daily basis. If you visit the village, you've probably seen me. So I promote our village and Vermont through my YouTube channel, which currently has 871 subscribers. My short films about Vermont fish are regularly shown on Vermont PBS. So I have a deep commitment to Enosburg and Vermont, and I've made many sacrifices to be here. So let me talk about my property real quick to set this up. So 342 Main Street offers regular daily public access to 2 active retail / restaurant spaces. We offer bathrooms, information, items to purchase ranging from 25 cents to $100. You don't have to buy anything to come in here. The Flying Disc and Wood Meadow Market combined have thousands of happy customers, and we have no plans to stop serving them. The Flying Disc and the Maddox family have been in the black, thank the gods of business, for a few years now. So in short, we're holding it down and keeping it tight for Enosburg in every way. We've never received any tax credits, any grants, or any special treatment at all. So we are here doing it. We're the real deal. We are offering what you want on Main Street is retail space that's open to the public. So what am I here about? I'm here, first of all, to tell you that I am not an Enosburg Initiative member. Okay, so the Enosburg Initiative does not represent me or my interests. Okay, let's see. So, and I'm here to talk about parking. Um, so by my estimate, there's 21,100 square feet of retail restaurant space that relies on street parking right in the core downtown. That's basically starting at the library and coming this way up to you hit Jolly. So according to the formula, 4.5 spots for 1,000 square feet that comes from the state. And I know many people are going to poo-poo that figure, but just as a general figure, that means we should have 95 parking spaces. And I know right now that the planning board is going round and round with Tractor Supply about this number. So how they're up to 65 spaces for their retail space, and this is a real thing. So core downtown parking consists of 37 spaces. So you can do the math on how that doesn't meet the rules. So let's talk about having these spaces open for customers and deliveries. That's life or death for Main Street businesses. And if you think I'm exaggerating, if you're messing with I've been dealing with parking issues for 17 years on main streets in Vermont, from St. Albans to here. And if you're messing with parking, you're messing with me. Let me just tell you about why we left St. Albans. So at the time in 2008, around the time we were in St. Albans, we had an experience that such that like our customers had nowhere to park. Like you'd have to park at Food City to come to my store on Main Street. That's the place you were in. They had parking enforcement 2 days a week, and then it was hardly enforced. Our customers would tell us, oh, we've driven around the block 8 times and there's nowhere to park. It's literally almost impossible to do business with us because the parking was so crammed full of daily, all day parkers. So let me talk about, so let's talk about what's happening right now in the village. And it's a positive thing. So if you look at currently Main Street from Champlain Farms to Hannaford, that's at 88.5% commercial occupancy. That's pretty dang good. So when you're hearing this narrative about how depressed we are and how we desperately need help to revitalize and to change, just remember that number. That's a strong number. And spaces become empty and they get refilled. That's how it works. You don't have so people come from miles around to walk and bike in the village. Customers of the Beverage Gallery, the Flying Disc, Wood Meadow Market, Community Bank, 242 Barbecue, Comb and Scissor, McClurg's Scottish Pub, Bees Flowers, Sherwood Real Estate, The Vibe, all of which are not members of the EI. They don't act, none of these merchants or commercial property owners are participating in any of these revitalization efforts, which you might find an exception to that, but I believe that to be true. So all of these places enjoy ample destination adjacent parking. You could pull into my store, you could pull into the liquor store, jump out, get your thing and go. Or if you want to stop and have a nice meal with your grandma, you don't have to walk a quarter mile to get there. So people, let's see, the park is beautiful, well-used public place. There's easy access to the rail trail. We get lots of business from the rail trail. The market for your business is there if you manage it correctly. So when you've seen failed businesses around Enosburg and you've been told that this is part of a systemic depression, I could challenge every one of those cases and show you that these businesses went out of business because of mismanagement, property mismanagement by the tenant. These aren't the result. When you see an empty space in Enosburg, is not the result of a market. I just showed you guys how I'm here. I'm making it work. Why can't these other places? It's simple mismanagement. Like it's not an economic condition. It's not an economic condition that requires saving us. Like, let's see. So in short, like the parking. So what I'm scared of is that even though there's 3 options, the Vital Village parking plan, which is something I never asked for. No downtown businesses came to you and asked you for this project. Jim Cameron came to you and asked you for this project. I didn't come there. Like, I don't need it. things are working great. And now at this point, something that's supposed to be helping us is going to end up doing us harm for no reason. No one asked for it. And I'm just asking for the option. I've got two subjects today. So, so this is excuse me. I'm just asking for the option of, for the Vital Village plan, will there be a chance for us to hit thanks but no thanks, leave us alone? And when can I start organizing and promoting that? And I'll please answer that after I get done. Let's see, let's move on to another issue. So yes, downtown Enosburg Falls, it works. It's awesome. Like when people are out there putting out this negative information in the messenger and all this, saying how people are hurting and it's terrible and we're all like this, really, that actually hurts us. That, why would you want to live here? Why would you want to move here when you read about us in the press? And the only reason these stories are coming out is so that we could draw in grant money to do projects that aren't being demanded by citizens. This is being demanded by Jim Cameron, who's not a resident. He's not a citizen. He doesn't own a business. The EI, according to VPR, who called it correctly, that is Jim Cameron. And Jim's there, I know. And I know that after this, he'll dominate and bully this meeting. And that's what he does, is come in and use undue influence on this body. Why is he here? Why is he doing this? So these things, the Vital Village, this is a common phrase. It's a solution looking for a problem. But if you build it, they will come. That's a line from a movie. Doesn't mean anything. So the steering committee, although I apologize for not participating in this, I just hope that people would leave us alone and let us enjoy our prosperity and happiness. But apparently that doesn't fit some sort of mold. So the steering committee of the Vital Village product, there is no downtown property owners on that. The only merchant on that is Pat, my tenant at Wood Meadow Market, and he's there representing the DRB. So I hate being here doing this. And I'd rather not. I'd rather just stay in my lane and pursue my private interests, which also benefit many people. So I just want to talk quickly about the narrative of the EI that began in 2017. And that's when Jim Cameron reformed the EBI into the EI. And I always, like, I was really shocked that this happened. I was like, why is this happening? I'm a member of the EBA. And people from the Enosburg Initiative were coming around and tell us that the EBA was a ladies' club. That's a quote. And I was like, what are you talking about? I've been paying into this. We have our goals. So the narrative really was, for me, the only way I can understand it was you got people to do these projects, then you get in-kind labor hours, which then in turn generate grants, which then in turn Green Dolphin LLC rakes in the money. When Jim is here telling you that he's a volunteer, I believe that's disingenuous. That's misrepresentation of what he's lobbying for his for-profit business. And you're going to see it in the Pearly Block and in a number in the Quincy House, which, by the way, the Quincy House is not finished. There's no restaurant in there. And how many times did Jim come before this board and tell you there's going to be a restaurant, it's going to be an economic boom to Enosburg? There is 4 years later, there's no restaurant, there's construction wastes and a shipping container in plain view of the street. This project is dead. I mean, so let's talk about the Pearly Block. I know you're getting bored. I know, I can see. And I just want to be able, other people have lobbied this body for hours on end. And I'm just here to say what I need to say, because you can see I'm visibly upset that this shit, I'm sorry to cut, this threatens my livelihood. You're in here messing with my business. I own this building through blood, sweat, and tears. And now these plans mess with the commercial viability of my building. So let's talk about the Pearly Block Initiative. I've watched the meetings, the trustee meetings on YouTube. Here's a couple of questions about the Pearly Block Initiative. So when I first learned about this, I was like, oh my God, how did they solve the parking puzzle? So this is a parking puzzle that Steve Cuomo, the pharmacist, who was there spent well over $50,000 in renting the Champlain Chevy lot next to him, which many people don't realize that is not associated with the Pearly Block. So he rented this and he paid for snow removal for his customers and his employees, and he spent buku dollars. So when I asked, well, how did you guys solve this puzzle? They're gonna park at the Opera House parking lot. Solved. Which to me, like, if you mention everyone I've mentioned this plan to, even you can even see Susan Collins responding to this. Like, she didn't even know she was well, I'll get off of that. So the current parking plan for the Pearly Block rests on hopefully you guys read my letter. Did you? No. Okay. So the current parking plan, I'll just read to you from the letter since I guess it didn't make it to you guys. That's
We got it.
got
I
it.
did send it to them, Ben. I
Okay,
don't know if
so
every board member read it.
Let me run it back down. So the current parking plan for the Pearly Block rests on the tenants of the future imaginary tenants, the FNESU, the daycare, the hot retail spots in the front. This rests on the tenants of this building making a quarter-mile round trip through walkways that are often barely passable to park in the Opera House parking lot. I believe based on 14 years of village parking observation that the tenants of the Pearly Block will instead use street parking and the Champlain Chevy lots. They're not going to park over there, and there's no way to enforce it. And the people who, I don't even know who's going to own this building, how are they going to enforce it? I've tried to enforce parking for years. You can't do it. It's impossible. But you have to offer people an alternative called off-street parking to get them to not park close, adjacent off-street parking. If this plan goes through and that's the way that works, unlike St. Albans, there's no way to enforce this parking. This is likely to cause unnecessary confrontations between downtown businesses and tenants. The Opera House parking plan is unrealistic and thoughtless, taking neither the tenants, neither differently abled elderly or families with young children, nor their employees into consideration. And this parking plan lets you know that the people who are going to run this building aren't going to get the tenants that they are claiming. So, which is kind of interesting and good. So I feel like in the last meeting, there were some misrepresentations by Tim Smith and Jim Cameron that should be addressed. That this board, the trustees, you guys took the hook on a $500,000 thing based on misrepresentation. So I've been following this story through the newspapers. So the FNESU, so when you were Tim Smith was telling you, he got you to go for this deal based on the fact that the FNESU, that's like in the bag. They're going to rent these offices. And then the next day, when the Messenger story comes out and the next Messenger, you hear Morgan Daybell, who's saying no such thing. In fact, I feel like if you were to read what he was saying, he's saying, I'd love to be over at the Enosburg Armory. I love it. So here's Tim getting you guys to commit to a deal based on misrepresenting his relationship with FNESU. So there's also another strange, so the plan about somehow there's going to be free rent, and then they'll give that imaginary amount out to the employees of the daycare. So this requires that the Franklin County Investment Development Corporation, I guess who's going to be running the building, are going to now audit the books of the daycare to ensure that an imaginary amount was distributed in the paychecks. I mean, does that sound like a realistic or legal claim? You're going to audit your tenants? Like that was, and then the other part is the timeline. So Jim was there claiming that he could have the offices ready in 1 year. I mean, if you've ever seen any of these kind of projects, that's a misrepresentation. So you guys, the FNESU is ready to move in yesterday. They're not going to wait on this insane redo. That for the Pearly Block, I know you're one last thing. So let's talk about when you've been hearing about the Pearly Block Initiative, you've been hearing an imaginary scenario, right? There's going to be the retail tenants and the daycare and the green space. But let's talk about what if they can enter imaginary shit, into this situation, I can tell you about some more realistic imaginary shit. So like if you look at the St. Albans house in St. Albans, so this is $1 million project that's going to be super similar to what would be happening at the Pearly Block. So currently, and you can go back and read the history of this project. You can go back and read the history of this. I'm almost done, guys. You can go back and read the history of this project. I'm just trying to show you what the Pearly Block is likely to look like. And you can hear Jim back then saying things in the paper like the plans call for a restaurant, a bar, or a cafe on the first floor. Cameron said he had spoken to businesses who were already interested in the space. It's an amazing. It's a lock. He's already got it. And as you know, the history of the St. Albans house, there's never been it's basically been office space or closed office space. And right now there's currently only one commercial tenant, which is a manufactured home financing company. So this $1 million project that you were being told, that St. Albans was being told that if you give the money to Green Dolphin, it'll be an amazing cultural boon. That never came true. It never happened. And if you look at it today, the guy I called the lending company and asked him, and he didn't even know where 60 Lake Street was. So I want to offer that up as an example of what you'll have is a super expensive redone building with no tenants. Or when they become desperate to get tenants, when the giant black hole of debt you've created around this building, they're going to start reaching out for tenants. They'll put anything in there. And poachers are going to poach. We saw that happen with the Champlain Housing Trust building across the street. They immediately poached Poulin from Marketplace. And then when they got rid of Poulin, when Poulin left, which was totally inappropriate for that space, they poached the liquor store. So, and then right now, speaking of poaching, right now, the giant building in St. Albans that's just being completed, they're actively poaching 242 Barbecue. Our one, finally, we got a cool destination restaurant, but now a huge government funded, super redone building in St. Albans is using the power of St. Albans to actively pursue people here. So why would you think that this building isn't going to just try to suck in tenants from everywhere else? I just wish that there was a chance that, like, I feel like this body is being unduly influenced by organizations that don't represent the interests of the people of Enosburg. And I just wanted to put that out there and let you know where I'm coming from. And I thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you very much, Ben, for voicing your concerns. Cindy, did you have something?
Well, I want to recap. I believe Ben wanted to talk mostly about the parking situation, which we're aware of. And if you park at Walmart on a busy day, you have to walk just as far, if not farther. But what I got out of this was a personal attack on Jim Cameron, which really wasn't cool, Ben, but we appreciate your concern about the parking.
Ben, are you offering any suggestions for the parking problem?
Leave us alone. Leave it as it is. It works great. It's not a problem. We don't need the Vital Village project to shift our parking. If you build the Pearly Block, you need to add parking in the back of it. That's the solution. Like Bernie Sanders style, in short, I do not support the elimination of the purposeful elimination of off-street parking. So don't change it. Don't mess with it. There's no need. There's no demand from merchants. I'm a merchant property owner who here's telling you I've contacted the liquor store David Maybaum from 242. We've all talked about this. And David from 242, he already told us that he's unwilling to renew his lease if this happens. It's already impossible for his employees and people to park there. There's 2 parking spaces. And right now I talked today to Sherwood Real Estate, who's also concerned that they have 1 parking space in front of their business, and that's going to be eliminated. That's the solution, is just stop. I don't want this. We are in great shape.
Shayna, did I see your hand raised?
It's Margot Sherwood, the mother. I don't know how to do the Zoom well.
Okay, well, good evening.
Good evening. I've been having businesses in Enosburg for 52 years. I've owned 3 buildings, and we never had a problem with parking. We always got great out-of-state people coming in we welcome them. And if we do any changes, we need to add more street parking. I'm applying it at the state to get 2 in front of my building, because why do we only have 1? I'm at the Sherwood Real Estate, 391 Main. And I agree 100% with every word that Ben has spoken tonight. He has done his homework. He knows reality. And we pay consultants. I'm the chair of the Planning Commission, Berkshire. I hate when $1 of our tax money goes for grants to do consulting, because that just gives people who don't even live here. They come and they analyze. You have to live here to understand how our small community works, and we all support each other, and we want to make sure we are successful people. We work hard 7 days a week, some of us. So we have to keep our parking on Main Street. And there wasn't one word that Ben said that I did not agree with. That's all I have to say, and thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
don't care, but I do pay my taxes. I paid taxes for so many years on properties in Enosburg. My daughter went to high school there, but she went to public school in Berkshire.
Okay, well, thank you. So I just have a question for you, Ben. So if there was a different style of business in the Pearly Block, would your feelings about parking change? Because I do agree with Cindy that there is a lot of, it seemed like, contempt for the EI and certain members. And if I just want to ask you if you have any gripes about that, to just contact them directly. But thank you for bringing concerns to us. But if it was a different style of business that would require longer on-street parking, such as a cafe or a restaurant, would you still feel the same way?
I don't agree in speculating about imaginary businesses. I don't know what it's going to be. Likely it'll just be empty. So what the daycare needs park. If this is a daycare, it needs parking. The retail employees need parking. The employees of the daycare need parking. The people dropping off their kids most certainly need parking. Even if it's office space on the 3rd floor, which is an amazing part. And I feel like I love the Pearly Block, and I hope that someone does something with it. But I just feel like I had some questions about this project and what I felt like what we were hearing about what was going to happen there was totally imaginary. So I can't say what goes in there. What goes in there, Enosburg needs what it needs. You can't force something into the market. So if you want to run a business, rent the Pearly Block space and devote your life to your business and serving customers, just as I have done. It's not something you just think up and be like, oh, there could be, I think, a pottery shop. But like, it's not just an imaginary play fantasy world of businesses. Like, markets create what will live there, and sound management makes those businesses stay, whatever they are. So I don't have any preference about what goes over there. I just want it to not take over and use more than its share of the public parking that's available.
Okay. All right. Well, it's certainly a lot to think about.
Well, I'm glad you let me speak. And if you guys want to continue the meeting, I'm not interested in debating with outside parties at this time. Also, John, when I send you a letter that says to John and the trustees, please, that's for John and the trustees. That's not for outside parties who are negotiating, who could take vindictive action against me. So please, that's why I'm here talking to you. And I thank you and have a good night.
Hold on, before you leave, Ben,
Mhm.
I need to explain something to you maybe you don't understand.
Okay.
If you send me an email, that's automatically public information. Anybody that requests a copy of that
Mm-hmm.
is entitled to it.
Did they request a copy of that?
No, they didn't.
So
But because you were singling out some people, I wanted them to be aware that you have concerns about this project. And I thought I was helping to forward the discussion in that
Yes.
and get these people that were working on the project to think about the issues that you had brought up. That's why I did
Yes.
that.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to,
I
be
understand.
malicious to you or to the other parties that are involved in this. So, but you need to know that right up front then, if you don't understand that anytime an email is sent to me, unless it's an attorney or something, which is then covered under attorney-client privilege, it is public information. So, but if I did something that you feel, slighted you in some way, I apologize for that. It certainly wasn't intentional. I was just trying to forward the conversation in a constructive way. And I also shared the email with the Board of Trustees, which you also had addressed the email to.
Yes. Yes. So yes, I'm not that concerned about it. My concerns are no secret. So yes, I just, yes. Thank you, John. That makes sense. And I was concerned about it, and I asked Kelly about it, and she said, well, this stuff you're saying is not a secret. I mean, this is stuff that people all around the village are saying. So, including Susan Collins from from Richford. So thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ben. Okay. I think we're still under public comment. Does anybody else from the public have something to say? Jim? Jim, you're muted, I think.
Pardon me. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Hi. Just let you know a couple of things. This Saturday morning, we're putting together a small work crew to go in and clean up around the mound for the Doughboy. And then I got a shop drawing this week for the base of the Doughboy, which we're going to have manufactured, put together a granite base that'll go on top of the concrete base. So we're going to put a small group of people together this weekend to do that on Saturday morning. And then the last weekend of the month, which is Green Up Day, I think, we're going to put together folks a Green Up Day. And then Dave Trihorn and myself, we're going to start working on the tower of the Opera House, which has been out there for quite a while. We've got lifts coming in and we're going to get started. We met with Susie last week. And then we have our regular EI meeting on Thursday night we moved it to 6:30, and that announcement will go out. That's really it, Sam. Just want to let you know those things.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jim. Any other public comment tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to review and approval for the minutes of March 23. Did everyone get a chance to look those over?
Yes,
If there are no errors, I will hear a motion to approve them.
I'll make the motion.
Heather with the first, do I have a second?
I second.
Leonard with the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. All right. Next up, we have Northwest Communications Union District report with Sean Kyo. I'm not sure if he's here yet.
Yeah, Sean has not joined the meeting, so I'm not sure where he is.
Okay.
I don't have any information about, you know, a report that Sean was going to give. He did mention to me that he wanted to give an update as well as part of this agenda item. And then was looking for a new appointment to the Union Communication District from the village. But if Sean's not here, I guess I would recommend tabling the item, and I can let Sean know, you know, we didn't do anything with it, and he's welcome to be on the agenda for next meeting if he wants to be.
Yep, that's fine. We'll skip over that one for now. And if he shows up later tonight, we can always squeeze him in. Okay, up next, Vital Village Scoping Study Project Status Report and MPM appointment.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. So I've been taking over the MPM, which stands for Municipal Project Manager duties, since Matt Miner has left his position as Development Director for the community. Matt did have the MPM position, but I've been doing those since March 3rd when he left employment here. And I just want to let you guys know I have met twice with the DuBois and King engineering firm team since that time period. We've chosen a next public meeting date, which is April 28th at 6:30 p.m. Of course, that meeting will be held by Zoom, so it's not going to be a physical meeting. It's going to be a meeting done by Zoom. We have actually put the flyers advertising the meeting out on our village website, as well as the Vital Village web page, which is on our website too. And we've posted this at our normal physical posting locations around the community as well. So we're getting the word out about this meeting. Feel free to, you know, talk to people about it as you see them. And I did give a handful of the flyers to Sean Kyo, and he said he would go around and physically deliver the flyers to businesses in the downtown area, which he also did at our last Vital Village public meeting back in December. So with those efforts, I think the word will hopefully get out. And I will, just so you're aware, I will also post this as a special Board of Trustees meeting, just in case a majority of you attend that meeting, because then, as you know, if you get a majority of the board present, then it automatically becomes a board meeting, not just a public information meeting. So, but I will get this posted as if it were a special Board of Trustees meeting as well. So that's an additional notice that will go out on this. So that's kind of where things stand right now. The presentations will be given by DuBois and King Engineering. Julie Ursaki is the lead from the D&K engineering team, and she's putting together a slide presentation to give during that meeting with different alternatives on a few different scenarios regarding traffic issues in the downtown area, particularly on Main Street and Depot Street specifically, that were a part of the criteria for further exploration in the scoping study. So I think, this will help provide, hopefully, more information to the public about what this scoping study has been looking into. And it will also provide alternatives for the public to give comment as well. And that's a part of the reason why we're having this public meeting, is to try and solicit public comment on some of the alternatives that D&K Engineering will propose as part of the final scoping study. So that's kind of, I think, where we are with the project right now. And so just keep that in mind, folks, and those that are in attendance here tonight. If you are able to attend, that would be great. So that'll be the 28th at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom. And then last thing under this agenda item is V-Trans, which is who the village got the grant from in order to do this scoping study on part of the Vital Village projects, requires that there is actually an official MPM on a project if they're giving a grant to it. So as I had mentioned, since Matt's departure, I've picked up those duties and been doing it. And if the board would like, I'm willing to serve in that position as the MPM through the remainder of the project.
Great. Well, does any board member, would any board member like to nominate John to hold that title?
I'll nominate John.
All right, Jason with the first, or second.
I'll second.
Heather with the second. All those in favor of making John the MPM, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay. Well, thank you, John.
Yeah, no problem. So there's a few other forms I got to fill out for V-Trans and send them in. But I'll get those filled out and send them into them by the end of this week.
Okay. Next up, Sqrp report.
Yes, so if the board flips in your packet, you will see a copy of our quarterly Sqrp report. As a reminder, if you've forgotten what the acronym stands for, it's Service Quality and Reliability Plan Reporting. So this is just, it's something, again, we're required to have once a quarter on a board agenda. This is a report that we have to send into the Department of Public Service. They are the regulating entity in our state government that oversees electric utilities in Vermont. And as you can see, if you look down in the last column on the far right-hand side of the spreadsheet, we're still well within all of our baseline reporting requirements for each of the performance standards in here. So there's not much to really report in this. Of course, it's the first quarter of the year. This is the report from January through March of this year. So still a lot of time left in the year. Hopefully we will meet all those baseline requirements by the end of the year. But this is just the first quarter and really not much to report on that.
Okay. Thanks again. Next, we have manager's report.
Yes, so first item, just as a point of information, I want to make sure the board is aware. I was contacted by Angela Wright, the town zoning administrator, who of course also covers the village as part of her job duties. And Angela has given her resignation to the select board. It's effective April 29th. So I just wanted you guys to be aware of that the zoning administrator for the community has given her resignation. She'll be leaving in approximately 2 weeks. And I expect that the select board will most likely begin a search to replace that position shortly.
It's already been circulating.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Very good. Also wanted to give you guys an update on the new phone system conversion down at the village offices. Well, actually, it's not just the village offices, it's all the village facilities. But due to unexpected staffing issues, we've had to delay that full transition for that new phone system. We had originally thought we could get it done by the end of March. We've experienced some setbacks with some of our staffing issues in the office. And it now looks like we're going to try to see if we can do it at the end of April to switch over with a full conversion. So just so you are aware as a board, this is not affecting our customers' ability to call into any of our facilities at all. Everything is still operating fine, you know, from the outside coming in. It's just some of the internal things that have changed a little bit from where we thought they were going to be, but people are still able to call in to any of our facilities with no issues. Just want to reassure you of that. And then the next thing, may not be a surprise to many of you, but wanted to let you know that the Public Utility Commission has again extended the electric disconnect moratorium in the state. So it is now valid through May 31st of this year. So related to this, I just want to let you know, I also contacted our legislative representatives about allocating funding to help cover the cost of escalating electric utility arrearages in Vermont. And, you know, all of us that run electric utilities, whether they're public or private in Vermont right now, are, you know, beginning to experience some pretty significant arrearages after 13 months now of, you know, having disconnect moratorium in place. So I've attached copies of the letters that I sent to our legislative members on the back of the manager's report. So you can see that if you wish to read them. Also let you know that many other managers within the Vermont Public Power Supply Authority membership have also sent similar letters to their respective legislative representatives as well. So this is an effort that those of us that are members of Vermont Public Power Supply Authority are trying to bring attention to through our legislative membership to you know, hopefully see if they can get some public funds allocated to cover some of the losses electric utilities are experiencing because of this pandemic and the disconnect moratoriums that have been in place in this state for a very long time now. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. Hopefully we get some action from our legislative members on this and they can find their way to allocating some public funds, perhaps some of the federal funds that are being allocated to every state across the country right now as part of the American Rescue Plan might be able to help assist us with this issue. And then also wanted the board to be aware too that last month municipalities across Vermont received correspondence from the office of Peter Welch soliciting requests for consideration on some potential funding that Peter Welch may have access to at the federal level. The threshold for meeting these requirements really centered around meeting specific community development type projects. And Gary Denton and I, our Public Works Director, discussed what we thought might qualify at the village level for a threshold, and also something that we knew we needed to do. So not just sort of a wish list type of thing, but something we knew really needed to get done in this community before too long. And so we decided to submit a request for funding to Peter for the Elm Street, Main Street water and wastewater line replacement project, which is something that we know, coming up over the next few years, this community needs to start grappling with. And you guys are aware, our engineers at Aldrich and Elliott are working on a study right now for us on this issue, looking into figures and potential timeframes for when we might be able to look at applying for funding and or construction of this project. But this could, if we were successful, this could possibly give us a leg up on the funding very quickly. Now, I don't want to get the board's hopes up on this. I know that the competition will be very stiff, and Peter Welch told everybody he can only submit 10 projects from the state to the federal level. So, right from the get-go, we're going to be up against some very stiff competition within our own state to even make it to the, the next step at the federal level. And then the competition will, I would expect, be even tougher at the federal level once the issues get to Congress. But just wanted you guys to be aware, Gary and I did take a stab at this. You'll see a copy of the application also attached to the back of the manager's report if you want to look through it. But just wanted you to be aware that we put some effort into this. Should give credit to Gary Denton specifically. He did the bulk of the work on that and pulling the application together and submitting it to Peter Welch's office. So, and then also related to the same funding source, I want you to be aware that VEPSA also was contacted by Peter Welch and asked to submit a project if they had something in mind. And they did. So they submitted a project for the much discussed AMI project, which is still something that is being researched at the VEPSA level. We don't know whether that is something that is going to happen or also whether it's economically feasible for all 11 members of VEPSA as well. So some members, may have a business model that works for them, and some members, it really might not be economically feasible, and they may choose not to do a joint AMI project through VEPSA. But this would certainly help if VEPSA was able to get federal funding to help with the project. It would certainly make it a lot more economically attractive, I think, for all the members of VEPSA to perhaps get involved in this when that study is done. And I did attach to the manager's report a letter of support I submitted on behalf of the VEPSA project as well, to see if they could potentially get funding through Peter Welch as well with an AMI project that has a large membership of municipalities in it, 11 to be exact. So they may be able to get some traction with this too. We'll just wait and see. So I think that's it for manager's report. Just wanted to keep you guys updated on all of these things, and thank you very much.
All right, thank you, John. I see Sean showed up. John, do you want to talk about the CUD stuff now?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. My apologies for being late. I was caught up making dinner for the kids and didn't realize what time it was.
Time flies when you're having.
CUD. I can give you guys, I'll be quite brief because I know you guys are behind schedule. So I'll give you a quick rundown of kind of some accomplishments over the last year of some of the things that we've been able to do and kind of what we're looking to do here in the next year. And then the ask is for you guys to re-sign the resolution appointing a representative from the village. And I'll talk about that here in a moment. As you guys are probably aware, so the Communications Union District, we now serve 12 municipalities throughout Franklin and Grand Isle County. Enosburg and Enosburg Village are two separate of those. We continue to collaborate heavily with NRPC for a lot of projects. They currently are contracted through the CUD to provide some administrative support services. They, on our behalf, applied for a broadband innovation grant to kind of get us going. That led to us doing a region-wide feasibility study for broadband necessity and whether or not it would be possible to fulfill the need of all the underserved or unserved residences through the district. We are anticipating that feasibility study was supposed to be delivered last week. There's a little bit of a delay. We're now anticipating it this Thursday, which once we have, we'll should the board have any questions, I'll gladly come back and share that information with you. It will be sensitive information because the CUD is somewhat in the competitive space. So those studies I'll gladly share with the board though. We collaborated quite a bit with the Vermont Community Foundation. We even provided a technology grant to the local libraries. I believe our library took advantage of getting some upgraded Wi-Fi equipment. Speaking of Wi-Fi, we deployed 19 free Wi-Fi hotspots through the region, and 3 of which are here in Enosburg. Emergency services, town office, and the one in the park, which is the village's property. If you guys, the board members remember that. That one currently is powered off. There's some technical difficulties with that one. The gentleman who installed it will be out shortly to either replace, repair, and also reposition because it never made it to the proper utility pole. So he'll be back out to take care of that shortly. We continue to hold a lot of discussions with other electric utilities and the supervisory unions, as well as other organizations to discuss, collaboration efforts and resource sharing. We are in serious talks with Northeast Kingdom CUD as well as Lamoille about having kind of a greater approach to kind of how we're tackling this. I think that, the more that we can kind of share resources and staff, that makes sense. Continuing to do a lot of legislative work, and just last week I testified for the before the Senate Finance on behalf of the CUDs. There's both in the American Rescue Act and some legislation that's coming. There's significant dollars being allocated to broadband and helping to get those addresses and those homes that are currently don't have the same type of broadband equity. We're advocating for that, for funds to go that way. Moving forward, once we have our feasibility, we develop our business plan. We will be seeking to hire a program manager to help some of the day-to-day operations. This very much has turned into kind of a full-time position that right now it's kind of division of labor to make it happen, but we will be seeking to hire a program manager that'll run the organization day-to-day. Continuing to do some project planning for kind of a phased build out throughout the region for fiber. Then we get into kind of site surveys and make ready, and then preparing for possible implementation, ideally mid 2022. So what that means is by then we will have all the pieces in place to begin building out and serving those underserved addresses. This isn't, every community has this. The village has less, but certainly the town, the town is greater affected by poor service and reliability than the village. But it's important to have you guys to be a part of this group, especially since, we're basically all one big community. So that's where we're going. We have annual meetings in May, and we're asking each municipality to resubmit the resolution with their representatives. John, I know that you and I talked about it. I mean, if there's nobody else that's interested in being the representative from the village, we certainly can put myself down. I serve as the representative for the town, and I am the chairman of the CUD. Ideally, it would be another person. I think the more brain power we have tackling this problem, the better. But should the village not come up with anybody, I understand that. But yeah, sometime before the end of the month, it would be great if the CUD had that resolution. We're asking all the municipalities to submit them before the end of the month. So then that we have all the paperwork for our annual meeting in May. Questions? I covered a lot.
Go ahead, Cindy.
I just want to point out that the CUD meetings are at the same time and the same days as the trustee meetings.
They
So I
alternate.
nominate,
They now alternate.
Dawn.
They're in the off weeks.
oh, they are now?
Yep.
Okay, because I'd only gotten to one meeting.
Yeah, now they I think through the new year we because several other groups had issues with Tuesday, so we switch it to the off week. So it as it stands currently, the CUD meetings are every other week on the off weeks that the trustees meet.
So like it'd be the first and the third? Because every now and then there'll be 5 Tuesdays in a month.
Right, true. Yeah, so last week, the first and the third, correct.
Okay, and so you're asking, so I know that the village joined the CUD. So basically, are you asking to rejoin the resolution? So that's an annual renewal?
Yeah, it's really, for the town, I asked them to make that as a part of their annual reorganization meeting, just to assign a representative to make that an appointment each year, just so we don't have to go remind them a month later.
Right.
But yeah, it's really, you're not necessarily rejoining, you're just resubmitting your representative or representative and alternates for the CUD annually.
Okay. And you wouldn't see any issues with conflict of interest between the village and the town at any point if you held both positions?
No. Again, if that's the board's decision to appoint me, I'm fine with that. I'll accept that. Ideally, it would be another individual. Again, I know you don't have to make this decision tonight. I mean, you have a couple weeks. You have another, I believe the 27th would be another meeting should you need to wait until then. But throwing it out there.
So I have a follow-up on that follow-up question. Some of the appointments that we made in the last meeting, they weren't board members. Does this have to be a board member or somebody just to represent the village?
Just to represent
You
the
weren't a
village,
board
yeah.
member.
Yeah.
Do any board members have any nominations? Or would any of you like to join that? Nobody? Okay. We may need to touch back on that then, Sean.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we'll bring it up next meeting, I guess. And I think it would be a good idea to include the nomination in the annual reorganization meeting. That's a good idea. Cindy?
Sean, did you see the chat? I don't know why she didn't just ask, but it looks like
Yeah,
it's one for you.
briefly. 1 second, I'm going to read it here. Do you foresee Enosburg using a for-profit corporation for its service or a free market entity like NEK Broadband? It's too early. Ideally, we want to, I'll tell you, at least from my position as chair of the CUD, we're seeking partners that have a certain creed or a certain level or a certain level of standards. We certainly want to hold, regardless of the ISPs or the organizations that we partner with, there's certain traits that we're seeking. We want to meet certain standards. We want to use certain technologies, and not all ISPs do that. We, as an organization, we want to meet the state's mandated goal of 100 over 100 megabytes by 2025 for every home. So that's a tall ask for some for-profit organizations. yes and no, I guess is the answer. You know, we're, should there be a private ISP or a private operator that we seek to partner with? I mean, that's a possibility, but they certainly would need to meet certain standards that we would expect out of that partnership. But there's lots of different organizations. We're currently doing due diligence to talk to a lot of different organizations to see if those partnerships make sense further down the road.
All right, good question. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, so I guess, Sean, we'll get back to you with a name and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks again. I apologize for delaying your guys' meeting here.
No problem. Thanks. All right, next up, other business. We had a couple things that we talked about earlier. John, would you like to start?
Yeah, sorry, my video wasn't quite working right for a minute there. Yeah, Sam, so there was one thing I wanted to bring up to the board under other business. Today I got an email from Billy Joe Draper, the town clerk, regarding the question we had posed to the select board about proposed joint meeting dates for the spring. So she did get back to me today about that, and there are 3 dates that the select board is proposing to the trustees for another joint meeting. The first is May 3rd. The second is May 17th. And the third is June 21st. So just for the board's information, the 17th, I'm going to be out of town, so I won't be available. Doesn't mean you can't still meet on that date if you want to. I mean, you can meet with the select board without me present if you would like to. That's up to you. But I'm just letting you know on the 17th, I'm going to be out of town and wouldn't be available to meet that day. So the other 2 dates, if you do want me there, are May 3rd or June 21st.
I'm good with the 3rd. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks, but we have some stuff we got to talk about, so no sense in putting it off.
It's good for me.
Okay, so the 3rd. That work for everyone? At 6:30?
Yeah, I guess it's, I think that's when the select board meets. Remember, this will be a select board meeting night. And so they'll also be doing the minutes for the meeting. But I can't remember, to be honest, but I think it's 6:30. I'll find out though from Billy Joe, and I'll let you guys know what the meeting will be. You'll get a copy of the agenda anyway, and I've got a list of the items that have been brought up at previous trustee meetings that you guys have requested be on a select board joint meeting the next time we got one together. So I'll be submitting those items to Billy Joe as well for her to include on the agenda when she puts it together. All right, great. So May 3rd it is then.
Yep, all right. Okay, so I have another thing under other business. So I was approached by a community member recently, and there was some concern over the village offices being open.
Damn, you're muted.
Yeah, okay. So I guess there's some community members that would really like to see the village offices open to the public. So I said I'd bring it up at the next meeting for discussion. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks. Yeah, I guess we'll just kick it off. So I did actually, yeah, I'll follow up. So I called pretty much every other town in the area. And I just got the list on here right now. I'm pretty sure that it was just, all right. It was Richford is open. Bakersfield is open and Enosburg Town is open without appointment. Everyone else was appointment or closed. So I know it's still COVID, but like I said, I told them that I'd bring it up at a meeting. Yeah, does anybody else have any thoughts on that? John, I mean, you work there, so your thoughts. I'm not in the office all day, so.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it's a little premature. I'm getting the impression over the last couple of weeks that there are many people in the community and in the state that seem to be under the impression that Vermont is going to be opening up and going back to normal within the next couple of months. And I'm getting a little concerned about that expectation. And I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from. I think in some cases it may be coming from the media, different media outlets that are out there. But I can tell you, I have been through the new guidelines for reopening that came out about a week to a week and a half ago from the governor's office. And yesterday also spent some time talking with an attorney from Vermont League of Cities and Towns about what I was seeing in this new guidance from our state government. And although there are some things that are starting to be a little bit more available, there is no changes to public meeting requirements. So you will still have to, do your meetings by Zoom unless you have enough space, that you can accommodate a typical number of residents that may show up. And there are a couple of municipalities that do have that. Bakersfield, for example, has a huge meeting room space. And so they actually have been having, physical meetings because they've got a huge meeting room space and they typically only get, like 1 or 2 people from the public that show up to their meetings. So if you don't have, that kind of space available, you're still going to have to conduct your meetings electronically. You're still going to have to practice all social distancing requirements. So that means wearing a mask, keeping a minimum of 6-foot distances, even outdoors. I mean, the requirements clearly state that it's even applying to outdoor activities as well. So I guess what I'm in a very long-winded way saying is I feel like it may be a little premature because of the types of critical life-sustaining infrastructure that this village government provides, not only to the village, but to several other municipalities around us as well, particularly through our electric department. I really do feel like, we need to protect the health of our employees, because if this thing starts ripping through our employment base, this community could very easily find itself in a crisis situation. And I don't want to see that happen.
Ellen, I see you have your hand raised.
I was just gonna say that I don't know what this community member wanted to do at the village office, but just as a bill paying customer, I really appreciate having the Dropbox for the money and just making sure that people know that even though the office is closed, you can still leave your check, because it just drives me bonkers to pay 55 cents when I literally drive by every day. So I think it might be worth making sure that people know that they can drop off their money even though the office is closed, because I'm just kind of racking my brain of what else people would want to do there that they would need to go in. That's all. That was my comment.
Yeah, no,
That's
that's an
gonna be
excellent.
my question too, is what service do they feel is not
Yeah.
being fulfilled?
Yeah, because, as we've discussed many times, over the course of the past year, we are making ourselves available if it's necessary. And I mean, if somebody really has a situation where there's no other way to resolve an issue, or they don't have a checking account or a debit card or a credit card, and really the only way they can pay their bill is through cash, and that's it, that's their only option. And we do have some customers like that. What we will make arrangements with them, and we ask that they just call us in advance so we can make sure that we're setting aside a space in the office so that they and the employee that is going to be working with them and taking their money from them and giving them the receipt are giving as little exposure as possible to other employees in the office. Just call us ahead, even if it's just a half hour ahead or whatever, and just say, hey, I need to come down and make a payment, I can only pay in cash, can you do this for me? And we have been accommodating people like that. And we've been telling our customer base, if they ask us about it, that yes, if you give us a little warning, we will do that. But we do have the Dropbox too. If you're just paying by check or money order or something else, we'll also take a payment by telephone too, or you can pay online if you want as well.
So, but it's not officially open by appointment, right? It's still officially closed. So maybe that could be a change, is just stating what's been the practice is just closed or by appointment.
Yeah, I thought it was by appointment. Where does it say that we're officially closed?
It doesn't, I don't know, I'm just wondering if that person, I don't know, maybe. I'm trying to remember what the door says when I walk in, to get their board packets. Does it say that the office is closed, or does it have that or by appointment?
I'm not sure. It's been so long since I looked at it. It's like one of those things where, how many stairs do you have in your house? You go up and down them every day, but can you actually say how many stairs there are? I look at that sign every day, but now I've done it so frequently, I forget the exact wordage that's on it. But I mean, if you guys want, if it doesn't say or by appointment, we can add that to the verbiage, but I can look at it in the morning and
Yeah, that
see what it says.
If it doesn't say it, just add by appointment and then include the village's phone number. But I also did notify that individual that it was open by appointment, and that it should never be hard to pay your bill, but there are plenty of options, Dropbox and appointment and call and online and all that. So, but okay, I guess we'll do that. And like I said, I told her I'd bring it up, so we had that conversation. All right. So if nobody else has anything on that, we'll move into executive for the purpose of discussion of personnel issue. Do I have a motion to move into executive?
Make the
Motion to move into exec.
All right. I heard Cindy with the first. Was there a second?
I'll second.
Heather with a second. All those in favor of moving into executive, say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. All right.
Good
let's head over.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right. Do we have a breakout room, or are we just kicking everyone else out?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, Ken, are you there still? Yeah, I can see you're there.
Yes, I am. I am assigning folks to that room right now.
Okay, because I don't see like an icon on there.
There it is.
So Sam and John, you should be the last two. I am going to stop the recording, or not stop it, but pause it.
I think we got Jason.
Leonard sometimes
ma-
needs help.
Yeah,
I didn't see the button at first. I had to look for it.
I think Leonard's still in there.
I think as the host, you can boot him out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Ken, is there any way to kick him back over here?
Yes, there's a 60-second timer on it.
No.
There he is. All right, quick roll call. Cindy,
Here,
Heather,
Here.
Jason,
Here.
Leonard.
Here.
All right, the full board is present back from our breakout session.
And you got the recording back on again? It looks like, yes?
Yes,
yeah,
it is.
Okay, great.
Okay, Cindy?
I just wanted to announce my retirement from the Enosburg Trustees effective May 3rd, as I will be moving on to sunnier pastures.
All right,
We will miss you.
yeah.
I miss you guys too. Might be quieter without me.
Okay, if there's no other
Goodbye.
business for tonight, I will hear a motion to adjourn.
I
make the motion to
adjourn.
I
I
think
think-
I think that was unanimous.
All right, we'll give the first to Cindy and the second to Leonard. Does that sound okay?
Sounds good. All right, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. All right. Have a good night, everyone.